esta pena ya dejemos ya.
The murder rate in our country is the highest it's been in 47 years, right? Did you know that? 47 years. I used to use that. I'd say that in a speech and everybody was surprised because the press doesn't tell it like it is.
You know, I can't believe it. Donald Trump gets elected, and all the work that I've done all these years says the truth. 14 to 24-year-old children of color are killing themselves, and we have our representatives covering this up because it's being done by the system of justice's best care. That was in the session that I tried to tell you guys, you know, that this was happening in the foster care that should be covering the children and the juvenile, and what I have advocated there on the West Side for. And when I went to City Hall because they were going to give money for police brutality, and the brutality was coming from the officers that are veterans that have PTSD, and we introduced the Eagle Eye Stabilization Center in honor of my son defending the kids and the juvenile that were being put on psychotropics. Let me let you watch this here. This was at City Hall.
Next is Two Bears.
Mayor, City Council, I want to thank you, Chief. God bless you. I want to object to this. I've been a research analysis for Veterans for Education Reform for quite a few years with the government and worked in different areas of injustice with Dr. Michael Gilbert. President Obama last year at our American Legion conference gave the $75 million for police brutality. It's police brutality. And to watch it, I don't think we as citizens need to have that impressed upon us. I had formed a coalition, or worked at trying to form a coalition in San Antonio of veterans and citizens to start monitoring what we need to do in our Angel Eyes program. You know, we made the same mistake when we put the police in the schools, and we're addressing that yesterday on CNN, and I'd said some comments and actually had gotten on there. If we keep going this way, you know, we're really, really endangering our citizens. I don't think we need to be watching cameras. I think we need to have our veterans that suffer that mental health crisis, because they're at the American Legion. I broke the code of silence, and I said the most dangerous member in America today is my brother veteran, not wanting to accept that he too suffers from PTSD, and he's coming back to America and is becoming a peace officer, a correction officer. Whatever it is, we need to monitor that before we move forward on spending our citizens' money on what's happening in the schools today. You saw that young lady get tossed by that officer. But if we had mentors in there to where we're addressing this injustice, that would be more civil. So it would be very, very uncivil for you to even think of taking our taxpayer dollars to monitor police brutality. And that is now working with the new group that the president started this month. It's law enforcement leaders to reduce crime and incarceration. I hope you're not in supporting crime. I hope you're not. So I'm going to say a prayer, and I beg that you guys consider what your actions are here today. You cannot take our money to monitor police brutality. There has to be a resolve here by getting to the point the police shootings are being identified as veterans. We need to help these veterans by making sure we're monitoring and putting some kind of test or something here, citizens, to monitor what we're seeing. What we did with Tommy Atkinson when Dr. Gilbert had the pre-entry at the magistrates. We did this. It was done. And you guys aren't a part of what's happening here. You know, it seems like you guys are supporting and spending our dollars instead of getting it resolved. So I pray that we can bring angel eyes into the city's light of understanding of where we're heading tomorrow? Okay, God bless you guys.
And there's where we said to the mayor to meet with our coalition there on the west side so we can stabilize this mental health crisis. We don't have a gang issue like she's keep trying to promote. She's been promoting this since she came to our city. You know, and I'm tired of hearing this, you know, at least Mr. Saldana is someone that's standing up for the citizens here. We're having these people invading and they're making violence and they're profiting off of this. You know, and I don't know where we're going to continue letting these people, because, you know, I remember seeing the sign that said, don't mess with Texas. You know, and then for this people to keep going this way, you know, and not wanting to say that this is something that we, the citizens, are very concerned with. You're giving body cameras for police brutality. That's not going to help. You've already done the camera issue when Scully came here. You put cameras all over the city, so you sit and watch to where you can fester, because you're festering violence. You're creating violence. Now get to the point of the matter, we're in a crisis. You spent $50 million to build a mental health center next to the jail. It's going to continue with the University of Texas Health Science like they do at the Paul Elizondo there on Sosamora. Continue using psychotropic drugs. You better realize today, we have a federal ruling that the judge has said psychotropics are making members not functional for our society. And we've gone through this issue. I'm going to let you guys watch this. This is what's going on with these cameras. They say it's going to make our community safe. It's not. It's them to fester this violence. So let me let you watch this.
Caught on camera, that is a gang fight in downtown San Antonio. And within minutes, the bike patrol officers show up. Weapons are found in the back of a vehicle there, and now those guys are going to jail. Was that just a case of police being in the right place at the right time?
As News 4 WOAI's Patricio Espinosa found out, that is not the case at all.
8 cameras monitoring the streets of downtown San Antonio around the clock. A crime-fighting tool used by the San Antonio police since 2009. And now, for the first time, we go inside to show you how they do it.
The cameras have proved to be very effective. We've made a number of arrests over the years with them.
612 arrests to be exact. But the San Antonio Police Department has never before allowed a news crew to see how these so-called crime cameras operate, watching people 24/7, criminals and the innocent alike, who have no idea they are on camera. Who knows, maybe you have been too. But what are they looking for? Well, things like this, a gang fight that minutes later leads to the discovery of high-caliber weapons in the back of a vehicle and later an arrest. At the corner of Commerce and Soledad, this guy thinks no one is watching. He's trying to pick the lock. Minutes later, he walks away, but it's too late. He's on the ground, handcuffed, and now going to jail. These cameras are so powerful that you can see the CPS logo on this paper. But the question is, when or how do the police determine how close they can get? At what point do they decide this is a crime or perhaps a violation of privacy?
There are no privacy issues here. Absolutely zero. You know, people have no reasonable expectation of privacy when they're in a public place.
But not everyone agrees. Look at that. That's the police department looking at you right now.
Right now.
How does that make you feel?
I don't like that. I don't like I can walk down the street being watched. I can't walk down the street.
But if I'm to tell you they're trying to keep you safe, does that make it okay for you?
If I need them, I can call them.
And what about personal privacy? Does it matter if these cameras are here to fight crime? Well, it all depends on who you ask.
The Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution is the primary portion of our Constitution that protects people's privacy. You have a right, and I have a right, not to come under government scrutiny unless there is probable cause. Now that has been turned on its head. Now all information is being collected. Now this video surveillance is being collected all the time, 24/7.
Ana Maria, do you walk around downtown often? Do you ride public transportation?
I do. I'm a volunteer.
Have you heard about the police department using cameras downtown?
No.
To monitor crime?
No.
What if I tell you that there's a camera looking at you right now?
Is it right?
There's one right there.
Oh, in the light. Well, I'll be done.
Now, how does that make you feel?
Good.
Why?
So it can help me out if somebody want to take my purse?
So that is good news for Señora Maria, but the ACLU is concerned about potential abuse, profiling, civil rights, and privacy violations. Now, what does SAPD Chief William McManus have to say about it? Stay tuned. More coming up later. Now, go to WOAITV.com, take the poll, cameras or privacy. It's your turn, San Antonio.
Cameras are set up all over San Antonio, and they have contributed to more than 600 arrests since 2009. Well, tonight, News 4 WOAI's Patricio Espinoza has shown you inside the police department camera control unit for the very first time.
And now he's back with more of the inside story because he has learned that there are more than just those 8 cameras we first told you about.
The cameras have proven to be a valuable weapon for getting criminals. But what about the rest of us, walking the streets and minding our own business? Is it right that our every move can be monitored by cameras we don't even know where they are?
I'm very certain there are more now than the initial 8 cameras. Yes, and the question is how many more, where are they, and who has access to that information?
Right now there are 8 downtown cameras, some in Travis Park, others along East Commerce Street. Are there more? Listen to what the chief has to say.
There are more.
And where are those cameras located, Chief?
There are various locations in the city. Some are on the east side, some are in other locations.
SAPD will not reveal how many cameras they have around town or what areas they are watching. An SAPD email explains, due to undercover operations, we're unable to reveal their locations. Does the public have a right to know?
Absolutely, the public has a right to know.
News 4 WOAI troubleshooters have asked for that information in the past without success. And now we want to know, are there any rules on the use of these cameras? Is there a policy on how far police can go with them?
You have to have some very specific guidelines and standards and with repercussions, with disciplinary regulations as to who has access.
It's fairly simple. I mean, you're watching activity, and when you see an offense committed, then the officers who are on the street are alerted, and they go and make the apprehension. But we're looking for criminal activity.
Yeah, and it truly is a simple process. I mean,
Yes.
you know exactly what you're looking at.
Yes.
But that said, is there a written policy that the San Antonio Police Department has?
I think I know what you're asking,
Yeah,
but I have to check to make sure.
You have to
that-
check and see if there's an operational policy, a 1, 2, 3. These are
Yes.
the things that we need
Yes.
to follow.
Yes.
10 days later, here's what SAPD came back with. Policy is currently in the draft stage and is awaiting final approval. Reads this email. This can and will be released. The system, however, has been operational since 2009. That is 3 years of watching without formal guidelines. And now Chief McManus tells us more cameras are coming. Police have 187 potential locations. But you may still have the final word. That's right, because tonight you have a voice. Beamer?
All right, thank you, Patricio. Now it is your turn, San Antonio. What do you think? Do police cameras keep you safe, or do you feel violated? You can take the poll at WOAI.com. Tell us what you think there. Also on Facebook and Twitter at #SACams.
That was been done, spent a lot of money, diverted a lot of money. And yet today in America, in the report here closer to home, showing we have the highest rate of recidivism that they covered up in Texas foster or juvenile, that these kids are going down to the Paul Alexander, sell some more, they're taking psychotropic drugs. That Whitmire and the rest of that clan up there in Austin, that I didn't even want to go this session. But when I got the ruling from the judge that MD versus Perry, we need to call every government representative, your state, your senators, Menendez, you covered it up, you know you did, and you covered it up this session by not acknowledging the matter of facts. Every one of you, Hinojosa, all of y'all covered it up. The judge ruled you're violating the constitutional rights of children under the care umbrella of the state of Texas. The Governor Abbott said This will not happen. It is our duty, and you violated your duty. And right now, our city is the most violent city in America. Let me let you watch this.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Well, is San Antonio the most dangerous city in America? Well, according to one publication, yes, it is. Eyewitness News reporter James Keith did some fact checking. He's live at Public Safety Headquarters. So, James, what did you find out?
Well, the question is whether this statement is true, and so it prompted us to do some digging to try to find out if there's any truth in this statement and to determine whether San Antonio really is that dangerous. Dan Martinez helped create the San Antonio Crime Coalition back in 2006. The nonprofit sets out to inform neighborhoods about issues like crime.
When we hear about our elected officials talking about bathroom laws, you know, this is silly. They ought to be talking about crime that is being committed.
One group is talking about crime in our city. The Brennan Center for Justice at NYU School of Law just released a study on crime rates in America. The nonpartisan Law and Policy Institute reviewed crime data from 30 of the country's largest cities, including San Antonio. It found a nearly 24% increase in San Antonio's violent crime rate, and it projected an almost 47% increase in the murder rate, which we exceeded. Using data from the study, the online site cheatsheet.com proclaimed San Antonio #1 on its list of most dangerous cities, with the highest percentage increase per capita of crime. Data provided by the city of San Antonio lists 149 homicides last year. That's up from 94 in 2015. SAPD acknowledges an increase in violent crimes, but no one with the police department would go on camera today to talk about it. The Public Information Office released this statement. While it's no secret that we saw an increase in crime last year, our residents don't live in fear. We remain as committed as ever to working with our community to ensure a safe environment for all. But with 149 homicides last year, it's tough to live here and not be a bit fearful. Martinez says citizens should turn that fear into action.
We complain a lot, but it's time for us to really get involved.
Now, that Brennan study goes on to say that the projected crime rate in terms of murders nationwide should increase by about 13% this year, with about half of that attributable just to Chicago. So the claim that San Antonio is America's dangerous city may not be all that true. Reporting live downtown, James Keith, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
All right, James, thank you.
And this is the truth. This is the truth. They're trying to cover it up and they want more money for gang violence. We're in a crisis throughout America. I think in my last show I showed you what Cory Booker had said. This is a crisis. We have a mental health crisis due to these psychotropics. You have to call your councilman, you have to call your mayor, call your commissioners, court representatives, call your senators. Why are we using psychotropics on children? What is going on? Why is a child? And the terrible part about this, and I think I brought it to one of my shows when they started building that mental health center, that Mayor Ivy Taylor gave $50 million to continue using psychotropics on our society. Wait a minute, Judge or Mayor, didn't you know a judge ruled that it's unconstitutional to use these drugs against children that recidify into your adult prison system and then go to our jail? We got to watch them kill each other in the jail. We got to watch this suicide. You know, I'm upset with this. I don't know what I'm going to do in the next session as far as some kind of voice has to be raised here. And, you know, you saw there, and I thought what Mr. Saldana had said, you know, and been a part of trying to make the identity for the people. Because it seems like everybody else is from everywhere else. Nobody's from here. We don't have a proper plan for our city. We have thieves stealing our city, and now it seems like, because remember, these cameras have been here since 2009, yet we've become the most violent city in America. Is somebody managing this? Is this being done by a sect in our society that's trying to continue violence? You know, our project, our ESP project that we try to do with Ivy Taylor, and when I went there, what you had saw when I asked her to meet with us for Angel Eyes, you know, I drafted that into where I worked with Mr. Mata, and it was a stabilization center, not only for the kids recidifying out of the prison system that were put on psychotropics, that was the highest in this report here, closer to home. That Menendez covered up. Whitmire wouldn't take our chronology when we worked with the Casey Foundation as far as the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative that Mr. Mata had submitted there with the Bexar County Juvenile, and had the PI approach adopted. Preventative intervention enrichment came from the Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative. And we had that as far as steering ourselves in a direction as a lifeline for our children, because the disparities in my case study, they were doing this to UNDA, and they're using the West Side as their training field. I mean, these people are coming in. But I thought when I went to the city and told her that, you know, this is my case study, and that she's going to just take it, divert it to the East Side. What are you doing? You know, you have what we had said. If we don't stabilize by helping our officers that have PTSD also to be the mentors to those kids in that stabilization, we don't need a substation. There's no growth and violence out of Randolph. We need a substation here on the West Side. This is where we have the problems. Why are we diverting monies out there? Whose plan is it to send money out at Randolph Brooks Randolph Air Force Base? Whose plan is that? It's not the commissioner's, is it? I think it is. And I went there and told them, you guys are using psychotropics. You have to create a stabilization center, because I don't want these kids to come to my gym and sit there like zombies because they're taking these psychotropics. And I tried to call Mr. Elizondo to have him meet with us on our Eagle Eye Stabilization Center. You've already done it. You've done it for years with these psychotropics to try to make our community safe, and now it isn't making our community safe, and that's what I showed you. Cory Booker did acknowledge this mental health and safe communities that Parmelo tried to say is her crisis intervention training at the jail is a lie. But we had one young man that's a part of the city. I want you to let you listen to this.
In the heart of the West Side,
there's always something going on.
Sits one of San Antonio's oldest public housing complexes. Crime near Lincoln Heights Courts is so bad, this mom didn't want to show her face on camera.
I have a 3-year-old daughter that lives here, and it's just me and her. I don't feel safe, first of all. I don't bring her outside.
Drugs and prostitution and fights.
People stand out there all day and sell drugs all day long. I watch them, and especially in the corner. I don't even like to be outside.
They're talking about actually adding cameras, security cameras and fencing to this property. Would cameras make you feel safer?
A little bit safer.
Using a $250,000 grant from Housing and Urban Development, Saha plans to put cameras, fencing, and improved lighting at Lincoln Heights Courts.
We're working very closely with SAPD and getting their input as well, as to make sure that everything is amenable to what we're hearing from our residents.
Saha already has security cameras at some of its properties. They say it's a way to curb crime, and then if there's a problem, they have security footage to go back to.
I like having them.
Billy Joe Smith lives at W.C. White, another Saha property where cameras are already up.
I wish they had more on this side of the building. It would be better because they could watch the street.
At Lincoln Heights Courts, the cameras will be in common areas.
I know the other people won't like it, but I mean, hopefully they won't be standing around here anymore, and hopefully the crime will go down.
And then this mom says she and her daughter can sleep easier at night. Grace White, Fox News at 9.
You don't know if you're next, if it's going to happen to you.
There are families going to sleep tonight worried about what is going to happen in their neighborhood before they wake up. We got a call from one of those people just waiting for the next problem. He lives in the Lackland Terrace neighborhood just off Loop 410 and Highway 90. When we put his neighborhood into our Crime Tracker app, these are the crimes San Antonio police were called to in just the past week. Several thefts, shoplifting, and assaults. Some neighbors say they're afraid to go outside, fearing they will be the next victim. So we're getting them some help tonight. News 4's Melissa Vega is live at police headquarters tonight with what she's found out. Melissa.
Well, the concerned neighbor says things are so bad they lock their doors, stay inside, and pray for the best. He's hoping by sharing his story, things will change so no one else gets hurt. A neighborhood caught in the middle of crime.
Mostly every night, mostly every day.
3 people are in custody tonight off Gunsmoke.
Last month, an SUV police say was stolen crashes into a home off Gunsmoke Street.
An ice cream vendor is hoping police find the...
A day later, just blocks away from the crash, an ice cream vendor is robbed at gunpoint.
Investigators say this happens.
This concerned neighbor is too afraid to show his face, but says something must be done to put a stop to the violence. He says he fears for his safety, his family's, and his fellow neighbors.
And you just can't live a normal life anymore because you're scared you don't feel safe at your own home.
Just last week, police were investigating an early morning drive-by shooting on Gunsmoke Street. A day later, Sky 4 is flying over another shooting in the same area.
You don't know if you're next, if it's going to happen to you.
News 4 San Antonio did reach out to police and the city council representative for this neighborhood, District 4 City Councilman Ray Saldana. In a statement, we're told Councilman Saldana has asked SAPD to increase patrols in the area, and our office will work closely with the Lackland Terrace Neighborhood Association and the area safe officer to make sure residents remain vigilant.
It's just been getting out of hand.
And this neighbor hopes more police presence will send the message to criminals that the crime has to stop. Now, if you live in this West Side neighborhood, you can call your police safe officer. The number to dial is 207-0810. Now, if you'd like to know who the safe officer is in your neighborhood, we have all of this information on our website, news4sa.com. Reporting live from police headquarters tonight, Melissa Vega, News 4 San Antonio.
That is very, very important. That's our future. And we need to come together and start making those phone calls about our future. These are our children. And for them to have a prosperous life, we're going to have to create a path of change. So I need you to get on the phone. John Whitmire, I think they want $641 million for 1,300 kids in the juvenile in Texas. Let's shut it down. It's over. You're guilty of doing this to children. You've created the most violent society. We have a mental health crisis. And now we have even President Trump's wife saying just the other day, we need to cut our ties with pharma. Big pharma is destroying America. She's right. So I want to thank them for being on a path of change in America. Native Americans have the ESP project, Building America's Future. It is on YouTube. So please go to the ESP project, Building America's Future, veterans mentoring kids, that they both suffer this psychotropic crisis in America that our First Lady referenced to. God bless you.
Yo sé que un día volverá. Esta pena ya déjalo ya. Yo sé que un día volverá.